Hey everyone, welcome back. Took a little hiatus there for a couple months, but we're back now filming our videos. So today's topic is, can QuickBooks handle manufacturing? Now, QuickBooks is one of the most common accounting systems used by small manufacturers. And honestly, for many companies, it works very well early on. So the question really isn't, is QuickBooks bad for manufacturing? The real question is, at what point does my manufacturing business outgrow QuickBooks? Because that's what usually happens at some point. So most manufacturers don't wake up one day and decide they need ERP software. Usually the business grows, complexity increases, and the processes around QuickBooks start breaking down. You start seeing more spreadsheets, more manual workarounds, more disconnected systems, and more tribal knowledge. Eventually, it becomes harder to trust the numbers or understand what's happening operationally. So let's talk through where QuickBooks works well for manufacturers and when it starts to struggle, and when may make sense to look at a real ERP like Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. So first, let's cover what QuickBooks does do well. So if you're a small manufacturer with a relatively simple operation, QuickBooks can absolutely work. So if you have a smaller product catalog, simpler inventory, limited production scheduling, basic purchasing, and a relatively straightforward financial process, a lot of manufacturers can run off of QuickBooks successfully for years. So the problem usually starts when manufacturing side of the business becomes more complex. So one of the first pain points usually is inventory visibility. So a lot of manufacturers reach a point where the inventory numbers inside QuickBooks no longer reflect the reality inside the operation. So teams start to building spreadsheets to work around it. Warehouse staff tracks things separately. Production teams maintain their own files, and people start to double check inventory manually before making decisions. So that's usually a main warning sign. Another common issue usually is job costing and profitability visibility. So many manufacturers want to answer questions like, is this job profitable? What products are actually making me money? How much labor went into this project? And what did rising material costs do to my margins? So that becomes much harder when your information lives across QuickBooks, spreadsheets, emails, and manual processes. Production scheduling can also become difficult. At a smaller scale, production scheduling manually may work fine. But as volume grows, manufacturers also often struggle with production visibility, bottlenecks, purchasing coordination, material planning, and tracking work in progress. And usually, QuickBooks itself is not really designed to be a full manufacturing operations platform. And then another big one is reporting. So, probably one of the clear signs your business is outgrowing QuickBooks is during the month end. If month end reporting requires exporting spreadsheets, manually combining reports, reconciling different systems, and building custom Excel workbooks, and it's probably often the accounting system is not working anymore, and it's not accounting's fault. It's operation visibility. That's whose fault it is. And then there's disconnected systems. This is extremely common. You may have QuickBooks for accounting, spreadsheets for inventory, another system for shipping, another tool for quoting, paper travelers on the shop floor, manual scheduling, and disconnected reporting. At some point, managing the workarounds becomes harder than managing the business itself. That's usually when the company starts evaluating ERP systems. Now, does every company need an ERP system? Every manufacturer? Definitely not. ERP adds cost, implementation effort, process changes, and detailed training. So, for some manufacturers, QuickBooks may continue to work just fine. But for growing manufacturers, ERP can help bring accounting, inventory, processing, production, reporting, job costing, and operational visibility into one centralized system. So for many SMB manufacturers, Microsoft Dynamics Business Central becomes attractive because it's somewhere in between. It's a basic accounting software, and it's in between that and massive enterprise ERP platforms. And it can provide stronger manufacturing, inventory, and reporting capabilities without necessarily becoming an overly enterprise heavy system or operation. The important thing is not rushing into an ERP just because you heard it's the next step. The real question is, are our current systems limiting growth, visibility, and profitability? And that's kind of the right way you want to think about it. At Alchemy 365, we work with manufacturers trying to determine when they've outgrown QuickBooks and whether the ERP system like Business Central makes sense for the next stage of growth. And honestly, sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. But understanding where operational pain is coming from is usually the first step. Now, if you're evaluating whether QuickBooks is still the right fit for your manufacturing business, we've also built a free QuickBooks to Business Central cost calculator. It can help you estimate the transition costs from QuickBooks to an ERP system. So that's in the description below. You go ahead and click on it and fill it out. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next.